Hey all, Jake's Garage here. So we've already taken care of the interior of this guy, and it's time to focus on the engine. Previous video showed you some cobbling with the heating system, and I did reset the timing, but it's still acting a little funky. It has a miss at an idle when it's hot, and I'm kind of have a feeling that it's some of this stuff. Wires are zip tied. Actually, right there, I don't know if you can see, right there is a white, there's white spot. Oh, yeah. There's a hole in the wire there, or at least a rough spot in the wire where it's been arcing through to this thing. So, what I have is basically a full tune-up for this thing. Ignition module, rotor, cap, wires, plugs. I have a new coolant temperature sensor because the coolant is currently drained. Yeah. So the coolant's pretty much drained. So now's the time to do that. What else? Oh, I'm going to remove this prefabricated line and put a nipple fitting back there. Nothing really wrong with it the way it is, but I don't really want this cobbled together mess. I have a new hose. And just a general cleanup. Clean this thing up a little bit, wipe some stuff down, maybe hit some of it with some paint like the air cleaner. This was really bothering me. It was super nasty looking. Not as bad as some that I've seen, but pretty bad. So it got the Rust-Oleum special. Okay, I know I just rambled off a bunch of stuff that I was going to do, but laid the parts out and realized that there was a lot more here than I mentioned. So first and foremost, we have the heater parts. I have the 5/8 hose with a preformed 90. That's going to go from the back of the intake to the heater core, and that's going to be completed by installing this nipple to take the place of that quick disconnect thing that GM puts on. I also have a roll of 3/4 that's going to go from the radiator to the heater core. I have some clamps to help me out in case I need them. For ignition parts, I actually have plugs. I have a rotor, a cap, new wires, an ignition coil, and an ignition module. I'm sorry, this is the rotor, whatever. I have an ignition module. I also have a O2 sensor, the temperature plug, I have the oil and filter, and I also grabbed a transmission output seal, which I'm not entirely sure this is the correct size for the output shaft on this, but we're going to check. I have a little drip coming out. So lots of stuff, lots of fun to be had. Let's get started. Okay, so I had some massive technical difficulties trying to record some video of this project. And then today, I don't know if you can see, it is so windy. Yeah, it's so windy. It's so windy that the door that's closed sounds like it's about to be ripped off. And I'm like climbing up here trying to work on this thing and the whole Suburban's shaking. So anyway, just to recap what I did, I took the, let me show you what that line looked like. This was the line that was at the back of the intake. It's just a nipple with the fitting to this metal hose. Now the reason I wanted to change that is because when they put the rear heat system in, they actually add these red hoses in, and they make this, which is all one piece, too short to reach the heater core. Could have used a little fitting and just put it together. I could have. That's 2 more clamps, actually 4 more, because you'd have to do that to the, well, I didn't have to do that to the 3/4 side. But anyway, that's 2 more clamps, 2 more leak points, and it just looks bad, so I replaced that. Holy mackerel. So that's out of there. I put a 5/8 nipple back at the intake. Do my best to show you that. Okay, it's right down there. It's very easy to do. Was not a problem at all. The other one came right out. Put that one in. I have the hose running. It's got that 90-degree preformed fitting, goes down. I used a little piece of PVC with a zip tie at the old clamping point for the old metal line. It just kind of keeps it nice, keeps it away from the exhaust. Loops up and goes to the heater core, and then the 3/4 inch line just comes right around with it. All the ignition parts are changed. The plug wires are in. They're routed as neatly as I could. Pain in the butt. New coolant temp sensors in. New O2 sensors in. I am just about ready to fire this thing up. I am filling it with coolant. It's kind of taking a little bit. I'm not, I wish I would have disconnected some more hoses and kind of filled, but I know there's going to be a lot of air in the system back there, so I've just kind of been slowly adding some in, and it's bubbling its way down. So I'm just going to do this for a little while until it kind of stops going down, and then I'm going to fire it up and just let it warm up for a little bit. Make sure it runs. Make sure I didn't screw up the ignition wires at all, which is always a possibility with me. And if all that's good, then I'm going to button up under here, just bleed the coolant out of it and bleed the air out of the coolant, and good to go. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I'll get some video of this thing firing up for the first time, and you'll see if it either succeeds or fails.